if you can see my screen, you can see I'm trying to open the application. So this is my this is Excel. Actually, can you see what I'm doing? Like the steps I'm taking. Can we see it?
Yes, we can.
All right. So this is I'm using
Yes.
Excel. I'm using Excel 2016. I'm using Excel 2016, like you can see from the screen. So I'll open it. Okay, so basically this is how we start the Excel application. That's just all. We have done the first thing, and this is the first step to, to using the application. You must know how to open it. So click on your start button. If you are using whatever Windows you are using, if you are using Windows 8.1, if you're using Windows 8. I think one of the version of the Windows does not have the start button, but then you can always press the start button on your keyboard, then just locate where all your applications are. If you're using Windows 7, you can easily locate your application. Just click on the Windows 7 start button, then look for your Excel and click on it. Once you do that, just allow the application to load. So this is what you see. You see this. From here, I can just start off a blank workbook. So I can click on this. So this is a blank, workbook. Or let me close it and open again. So I can open, these are recent files that I've opened before. Then these are, from here I can open other files. Now, instead of starting with a blank workbook, I can open some templates. These are some templates here, like business. So these are templates. So I can search for templates here. Maybe I want to do an invoice template. So you could see, so you can search for templates here, and you can start off from a template instead of creating from scratch. You can start from a template. But most times you are going to start with a blank workbook. So, and that's what I will be showing you. So we are starting off with a blank workbook. So we have opened a workbook now, and this is the, Excel environment. This is the Excel environment. So we can see, please, let me close the door. Thank you. So we can see the Excel environment. So we can see the name of the file at the top, book 1. So an Excel file is called a workbook. An Excel file is called a workbook. Now, and inside the workbook, we can have different worksheets. So that's why if you look at the bottom here of the screen, I'm sharing my screen, you'll see sheet 1. So I can add other sheets. We are going to look at that. So the next thing we want to look at is this thing we have opened. Like for those of us that have used Excel before, we'll be familiar with the screen, the display screen. For those of us that have not used Excel before, to look somehow. So Excel in the Microsoft Excel you are seeing like this is part of a group of applications that is called Microsoft Office Suite. The Microsoft Office Suite, you have group of applications like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Access, Excel, PowerPoint. Some of us must have heard of this. So Microsoft is just one of the applications in the Microsoft Office Suite. So this is the display screen. Now Excel, back in time, did not look like this. It looked different. So Excel used to look different. Like from if you look at Excel 2003, the version 2003, it didn't have these tabs like we have. The interface was not like this. But then let's try and understand what this interface is. Now on the interface we have this. There's what we call tabs now. Like you could see file, You could see home, insert, page layout, formulas, data, review, view, developer, PowerPoint. So Power Pivot. So all those things are called what? Tabs. Now under each tabs you have options. So if you click the home tab, which is default, it's open by default, you see options, some options there. If you click the insert, just watch, you discover that it's changing. Page layout, formulas, data, review, view, developer, Power Pivot. So all these things are called tabs. In Excel 2003, it was a drop-down menu. If you click on the menu, you see. If you click on the menu, you will see a drop-down menu. But then from Excel 2007, we started having what they call tabs. So Excel have tabs. So these things are called what? Are called tabs. Okay. So the home tab has different options. The insert tab has different options. Now, to the tabs and the options under each tabs, they are called together. They are called ribbon. They are called what? Ribbon. So they are called ribbon. So the tab and this all the all the features under each tabs, like you have the home, insert, page layout, all those things under combined with these tabs, they are called what? Ribbon. So that's what we call a ribbon. Do we get that? So that's for that. So then if we look at leaving the ribbon, we come down. This point is called the formula bar. This is where we enter formula in Excel. Like if I want to do a sum quickly, like I type 45, I type 67, and then I want to add these two numbers, I could just come here and say equals to, I could come here and say equals to 45 plus 67, enter. Okay, so that's this is where we enter formulas in Excel. Do we get that? So here we enter formula, the formula bar. Then this one here is the name box. Any cell you select, it will give you the name of the cell. Now, if you look at the Excel environment, you discover that we have alphabets and numbers. Alphabet and what? And numbers. Now, the alphabets are for the columns. So the numbers are for the rows. So this is row 1, column A. Row 1, column A. Row 2, column B. So this is column B, column C, column D, E, like that. So all the numbers represent individual rows, while the alphabet represent individual columns. So, and then you discover that these rows and columns are connected. You understand? They are connected. So the intersection of the column and the row will give you what we call a cell. So those are those small boxes you are seeing. The small boxes. So that's why each cell is uniquely identified. Yeah, each cell is uniquely identified by combining the name of of the row and the column. So if you look at the first cell that we have in Excel, this first one where I am clicking at the moment, you discover that it is called A1. Look at the name box, A1. If I click somewhere else, this is D7.
Oh, I can't hear anything. Honestly, I can't hear anything, and just penning me, Jerry. Oh, you help me out too, please.
Hello, can you hear me? Huh? Can you hear me? Please, let's send me.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. So like I said, please once you can just mute yourself or mute yourself so that there will be no noise. Okay, so each cell is uniquely identified, like I said. Each cell has a specific, a name. It is important that we get this because we'll be using it, subsequently. So like this cell I'm clicking at the moment, this is H6. Look at the name box. If you can't get it, just look at this name box. You discover that whenever I click any cell, something will appear here. Look at the name box. Don't know if you can see that. So the name box. So this is I8. So this is the name box. And the alphabets are for the columns, like I've said, and the numbers are for the row. Now, like I said, an Excel file is called a workbook, and then every workbook is made up of worksheets. Look at the bottom. If you look at the bottom of the display screen, as you can see, you discover that we have here what we call is named. We have something at the bottom here called sheet 1. So that's the name of this sheet. So at the moment we have just one sheet. So this is where we'll have all the sheets that we would add to our workbook. Okay, so that's that. This is where we can add a new sheet, like this plus button. From here we can add a new sheet, but we'll come to that later. So I've already explained this. This is where we enter our formula. Yeah, we will enter our formula. So we are going to look at the file type tab. This tab here, we're going to look at it. When you click on the file tab, this is what you will see. When you click on it, this is what you see. So these are the options that we have under the file type. One, we have info, we have new, open, save, save as, print, share, export, publish, close, account, and options. So we are going to look at some of those features there or functions and see how they work. So the first thing we have there is info. When you click on the file tab, you see what info. Now, what does this info do? It gives you information about the present workbook you are on. So at the moment we are working with this particular workbook named 1, though we have not saved the workbook. So it will give us the name, the size, the date created, it was created today, the author. Okay, I'm the author, my system, I'm the author. So then we have other things you can do here under info, like protect workbook with the password and all that. So, but we'll look at this later. But basically, the info gives you information about your workbook here, like as you can see. Then the next thing is new. So if you want to open a new workbook, you are on a workbook. You are working on an Excel workbook, but then you want to open a new one. You have to click on the file tab, click on new. Then you click on what? Blank workbook, or you can search for what? A template. Search for a template, or you start what? With a you start with a what? With a blank workbook. Okay, so that's what new does. New opens a new workbook. It is used to open a new workbook. Basically, that's all about new. Then for open, you use open to open an existing what workbook, like a workbook you have saved before. Now you can only open something you have saved before. If you have not saved the workbook or you didn't save it, you can't open it. So when you click on open, like as you can see, I have some files here that I've worked on before, so it's going to show me. You understand? So if I don't see any recent files that I've worked on before, I can click on what? On browse. You click on browse and the computer will open its file system, and then you can browse through your computer. You can go to your downloads, your documents, desktop, wherever you save the file, just go there and open the file. If you save the file on the cloud, maybe like on OneDrive, you can also access it via the OneDrive folder. So that's what open does. It's used to open an already saved file. Okay, so that's for open. Then the next thing we'll have there is save. We use save to save your workbook. Like this particular workbook, we have not saved it. So I can click on file, I'll click on save, then I'll choose the location where I want to save. I could browse and then save it on the desktop. So I'm saving this particular file on the desktop. So I could, then we'll have file name. This is where we'll put our file name. So let me use this. So we type a name here. Once you type a name, then save as type. You choose how you want to save the type of file. You could decide to save as PDF if you want. If you want your workbook or your document to come out as a PDF, you could choose PDF. You could choose CSV. You could choose XML. So but basically, most times you have to save it as an Excel workbook so that you can always open and edit. If you save it as a PDF, remember you will not be able to edit it again. Okay, so we'll save as Excel workbook, and then we'll do what? We click on save. So you can see that our Excel file has changed from book 1 to Excel class. Check the top of the window, you see the Excel class. So the next thing is save as. Now we've looked at save, and then we'll have save as. Now I just saved this file now. So everything I have on the spreadsheet is saved. But now let's assume I now come again and I add something. I add this number and then add this number. Now I've made, I've added new information, or probably I changed this number to 76. So I've made adjustments and I've also added new information. Now the new information I've added and the adjustments I've made are not saved yet. So how do I update this file? So that is what save as is used for. Save go for. So you just use save to update your information. Then if you are saving your work for the first time, you use save as. So that's the first thing we did. We actually saved our file with a name using save as. So if you have not saved your workbook before, you use what? Save as. To open the dialog box we saw where we inputted a name, and then you'll be able to save. So, but if you make adjustments to your workbook, just click on save. So I've clicked on file, save, and then to add this new information, update the adjustment so that if I come back, if I close this workbook, and come back, I'll still see the information I added. So I'll just go on. If we'll have time for question, anything you don't understand, you can always ask. So these are some of the things we have on the file tab. I'll finally talk on look at export, and then the others will come back to them as we move on. So export is used to export your file in other formats. Now, by default, if you want to, save your Excel workbook, it will be saved in Excel format, like the XLS, the .slx format. But then, if you want your file to be saved as a PDF, your workbook, you could do export file, export. Then you do create PDF or SPS document. So we are creating a PDF file. So whenever you want to export your Excel, as a PDF, you use what? File, export, create PDF. Then you click this, then you click this button, create PDF. So, and then you see the save as type is already on PDF. Then you type a name and then you publish. Okay, so this is the file. You can see that, I don't know, can you see the PDF file? Okay, this is a PDF file, Excel class. It came up, it just opened automatically. That's how I set, that's one of my settings. So I'll close the PDF file and then come back to Excel. So that's how we save an Excel file as PDF. You can see all this ask question when it's question time. So I think we'll move on. We'll move on and talk about we've talked about how to open a workbook. So we'll move on and talk about moving the cell pointer. So one thing you must learn while using Excel is that you must learn how to move around. Because for some of us that have used Microsoft Word, you just open Microsoft Word, you just start typing around, moving around, press enter, go here and there. But in Excel, we have just small boxes. You discover that we have little boxes. Now, these boxes are called cells, and each box can, is independent of the other. You understand? Each of these cells that we have in Excel, they are independent of the other. So I can apply something to one and then it will not affect the other. You understand? So then we must learn how to move around. So how do we move the cell, pointer? Now, like you can see that I've been moving around. Please, if your microphone is on, please just turn it off. Just mute it so that there will be no noise. The class is actually being recorded, so if there's any noise coming from the background, it will be entering the recording. Okay, so we'll look at now, how do you move the mouse pointer? Now, while working with Excel, you use your mouse to do your selection, to move the cell pointer around. Now, I don't know if you can see the cross, the cross, if you can see the cross sign, on the screen. Yes, that is what we use to make selections. So if you see that, if I want to click on any cell, I use the cell, pointer. Do you get that? Okay, so any cell you see that is having the tick bounding box, any cell that is having the tick bounding box is what we call the active cell. Like you can see at the moment, our active cell is F4. F4. So that is just, the reason for that is I'm selecting only what F4. So I can select more than one cell. I can also select like 4 or 5 cells. So at the moment I'm selecting these 5 cells. So that is from this point to this point. So I can select more. So what you do is you just click and drag. Do you get that? You click and what? And drag. So to select multiple cells, you click and drag with your mouse. Click and drag, and then you'll be able to select more than one cells. So
Mr. James, is there any way you can mute everyone from your end?
Yeah, I'm
possible.
Yeah, it's possible. I'll do that
Please,
now.
can you do that?
Okay, so hello. Okay, people can. Okay, so that's can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, so that's that. So um, we can move our cell pointer. Like I said, it's important we know how to move our cell pointer around. Now, what is our cell pointer? I said it's this tick bounding box that we have, on E4 at the moment. So this tick bounding box, which is green in color, as you can see, shows us the particular cell that is active. So if I want to type now, you discover that it will appear inside this box that is selected. So that's what. So if I leave that point and select another, if I type, it will appear there. So this cell and this cell are independent of each other because I can click on this and increase the size, and it will not affect this. Do we get that? So that's why. So now, how do we move this cell pointer around? Now we can use, now while working with Excel, you discover that you use your keyboard a whole lot because there are keys on the keyboard that can help you move this cell pointer around. So with the tab key, you can move to the right. So if you press the tab key, you can move the cell pointer to the right. Just like, as you can see, I'm actually pressing the tab key on my keyboard. Then the enter key will take it down. Then also we have the 4 arrow keys on the keyboard, like the up, down, left, and right. Just like that, up, down, left, and then right. So these keys on the keyboard help you to move around. Do you get that? So those are some of the things you use. Then if you press the shift and the tab key, you move backwards, like you move to the left. Shift and tab. So if you're on a PC, you can be trying some of these things. Shift and tab key will move to the left, while just the tab key will move you to the right. So it's important that you know some of these keys that help you to move the cell pointer, so that while you are working with Excel, you can easily, move around. So that will be it for moving the cell pointer. So I will talk about how we can select a range of cells. You will discover that most times, most of what I've been showing is I've been clicking on just a single cell. So if you want to select a range of cells, how do you do it? You can use your mouse to do it. You just click and highlight like this. You click and drag. Yes, you click and drag. So I don't think I should be teaching how to click and drag because that's one of the prerequisites for this class. You must know how to click and drag. So you click and drag on the screen. So at this moment, I've selected a range of cells which is from B2 to H11, B2, H11. So from B2 to H11. So these cells that I've selected, all of them are active because they are bounded by by that tick bounding line, which is actually the cell pointer. So all these cells are active, and whatsoever I do will affect all of them at the same time. So if I increase the font size, it will affect all. So that's how you select a range of cells. You can also select a range of selects by using you hold your shift key and then you press. Okay, let me start from this point B2. Hold down your shift key, press your right arrow key to go forward, press your down arrow key to come down. So I'm using my mouse. I'll press your shift key on your keyboard and then press your let me do it again. Click at the point where you want to start, press down your shift key, press your right arrow key to move forward or the left arrow key to move backwards or deselect. So moving forward, I'm selecting, still holding the shift key. I press the down arrow key to select or the up arrow key to deselect. So these are some of the ways you can. So we'll still talk about other keys you could combine to move the cell pointer. So but most times you are going to use your mouse. Yeah, most times you are going to use your mouse, but sometimes you just want to use the keys on the keyboard so that you can easily do some selections. Yeah. Okay, I'm also going to share some shortcuts too, some keyboard shortcuts. I'll do that on the WhatsApp group. So you just practice them or try them out and see how they work. So the next thing we'll look at will be how we can create a new workbook. I think we have talked about that. You click on File, you click on what? On New. That's all. Click on File, click on New, and then is that you create a blank workbook or you start from a template. Then now I want to talk about constant values, constant value. Now I think I will have to demonstrate that. Now, constant values. So how do you enter a constant value in Excel? For instance, if you have number 1, then we'll have number 2. Now we have these two numbers. Let me put numbers under them. Okay, let me delete this. We'll have this. Let me do this. Okay, so we have all these numbers now, and then I have number 2. Okay, let me still bring number 2. Then I have 100. Sum. Okay, so I have number 1, and I have number 1, number 2, and then I have sum. Now I want to add 100 to all these numbers. Like I want to add 100 to all these numbers. Now if I do, please just watch me. I will explain what I'm doing. If I do this, now I've done the first one, which is 12 plus 100, which is 112. Now I want to add 100 to all the numbers, not just 12, all these ones also. Now if I do this, you discover that here is empty. Now if I do this, it's going to, I will explain this. If I do this, it's going to give me 1357, the same number, because here is empty. Now Excel is following a pattern. So it checked what I did. I added these two numbers, so it did the same thing. 39. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. So how do I tell Excel to keep this 100 constant while doing this summation? Do you get that? So what I'll do is this. I will have to make this cell constant, so that once I'm using the automatic autofill function to get the orders, I can easily get my answers without any error. Okay, so what I'll do is this. So how do we enter constant values? If you want to make the contents of the cell constant, especially when you are dealing with numbers, you can do it like this. You come to your formula. Now, this particular cell is called E what? E3, where we have 100 is E3. I want to believe we should be able to name each cells by this time. So just check the column, check the row. So if you select a cell like this 100, this is E, column E, row 3. So it means that the point where we have 100 is what? E3. So the E3 represents the content in that particular cell. So if we call the cell E3, it means we are calling what? 100. It's just like a bucket, like a bucket, like a bucket, like a variable name, like a name. So it's just like a name. You understand? So that's what it is. So it's these names that allow you to uniquely identify each cell. You understand? So that's what it is, like a name. So like every one of us, we are human beings, but then we have different names. So that's why as we are in this particular online room now, if I call somebody's name, if I say human being, nobody will answer. But if I call a particular name, somebody will definitely answer. So that's what this thing means. So when you say E3, you're actually saying 100. So if I change it, whatever I change it to 190, if I still say E3, it means I'm now calling 190. Understand? So so this is E3. So what we'll do to this formula is is this. Let's say D3 plus E3. So how do we make this formula, this particular this 190 constant? What we'll do is add the dollar sign here and add the dollar sign here. So add your dollar sign, add the dollar sign. So enter. We'll still get our answer. So now if you check the box, this box, if you check this particular cell, you discover that there's a small box there, a small tiny box. Now that's one of the advantage of one of the most one powerful feature about Excel. Once you you get a particular, maybe like you can see I'm adding numbers together, I don't need to start doing each and every one of them individually. I can easily get the orders by just clicking on that particular box. Now I'll click on that box. You see it changes when I put my mouse on that particular small at the bottom right there, as you can see, it changes to a cross, and then I can just click and drag down, click and drag down. It will give me the answers for the orders. I don't know if you can see the screen very well. Okay, so you can see that I've gotten the answers for the orders. Now, by default, Excel discovers that for the first addition that I did, I added 12 and 190 to get 202. So when I click and drag down using the autofill, it is going to be adding these numbers, following that same pattern. To add 13 and empty cell, 57 and empty cell, 58 and empty cell. Excel doesn't know whether I want this 190 to be constant. So since I know I want it to be constant, I had to make it constant by adding the dollar sign, because as you can see, there are no numbers here. But Excel will add it because it's following the pattern I started with. I added these two numbers, so it will want to add 13 and this, 57 and this, 58 and empty cell and all that, and it will still give me the same answer because this is addition plus nothing will still give me 13. So now I haven't added this dollar sign in front of the column label and the row label. just like you can see, it's now made this cell, which is E3, constant. So that means 190 will be added to 12, added to 13, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. So basically what I'm saying is, if you want to make a cell constant, just do it like this. Just add the dollar sign in front, in between the column and the row label. I don't know if you get that. It will be constant throughout your work. So so that this particular cell is constant. Nothing will change it except I change the number itself. And so you can see that it was added all through this calculation. If you check the formula bar, check this formula, you can see the same thing. And the range finder is also showing us, as you can see, the blue and the red color, showing us the numbers that were added together. Okay, so that's how you make a cell constant. You just add the dollar sign. And put it this way. As you can see on the screen, you put the dollar sign in front of the alphabet and also in front of the number. So that's that. So now if you type something in a cell, if you type something inside a cell, let me calm down, like this is a cell. Now and then you want to change it. I know some persons must have encountered this. If you want to change it, maybe you type this is a cells, and then you are supposed to type this is a cell. Now if you want to change it, some person might just come and click. Like I said, it's no Microsoft Word. You might just come and click and then type this. You discover that maybe you now type C, what you are typing before is gone. It's gone. So how do you edit a cell content? For you to edit a cell content and make changes to what you have typed inside a cell, you double click on the cell. Double click. Now once you double click, you see the cursor or the caret appear inside the cell. Then you can easily delete, like using your backspace on your keyboard or delete key on your keyboard to delete, and then clear and adjust. So you can see, you double click on the cell, then you can make changes. So I can change, and then that will be it. But if you want to change the whole content, you can just click on the cell and type something else. Type something else. But if you don't want to, if you want to make adjustments to what you have already inside the cell, please double click the cell and make adjustment and press enter if you want to, or you could just click somewhere else. So that's how you edit, the cell content. Double click, or you click on the cell and you press F2. If you click on the cell, press F2 on your keyboard. That's if you want to use this shortcut. Click on the cell, press F2, and then you can adjust, or you double click the cell. You get. So so that's how you edit the cell content. So if you want to clear, so next we'll look at how to clear cell content. So if you want to clear cell content, first you have to select the cell or cells. When you have selected the cell or cells, like I've done now, I've selected the cells, click and drag across the cells you want to select, and then you click on your home tab. You see clear. Look at clear at this point. So under the clear, just click on the arrow there. Under the clear, we have clear all. clear format, clear content, clear comments, clear hyperlinks. Clear hyperlinks if you have hyperlinks here too, but let's just look at clear contents at this point. So if I want to clear all the contents, so I'll click on what? Clear content. Once I click on this clear content, everything goes off. Just like that. Everything goes off. So that's how we clear content from a worksheet. Just click, select. First, you have to select. If you don't select anything, nothing will happen. Like I'm not selecting, where I have my content at the moment. If I come and do clear content, nothing happens. So you have to select the content or the cell or cells. If it's a single cell, select the cell. If it's a range of cells, select the range of cells. Once you are done, come on your home tab. You can see home tab, clear content. Now another way is you select the cell, then you right click and click on what? Clear content. Where are you? Clear content. Look at it here. You see clear content there. Click on it. It's the same. So it's just different ways of doing the same thing. Clear content. So anyone you find comfortable, you can use. Right click, clear content. So that's how you clear content from your. These are very small things, but when you know them, it makes you work very quickly. Then undo and redo. I know most of us that use computer will be familiar with undo and redo. Like I just deleted something now. If I want to bring it back, I will click on undo. Undo. So if you look at the top of this window, Excel window, you see this curve arrow key pointing backwards, showing you go back one step. So go back one step. That's what it means. Move one step backwards. So you can click on it. You click on it. Actually, this point where you have the undo is what we call the quick access toolbar. So the quick access toolbar allows us to access some Excel features that we use often. Like the undo is something that we use often, like the save is something that we use often as we are working on our work sheet. We could just come here quickly and click on save so that we'll have our work saved on our local computer so that we'll not lose our work. Okay, so we could also add other options like new, like open, like email. So the undo takes you one step backward. So if you click on the undo, it will bring back what has been deleted one step backward. Do you understand? Then if you look at the undo, as you can see on the screen, you discover there's an arrow. There's an arrow. So you can click on that arrow. You see some of the things you have done. These are some of the things I have done. So I can undo. I can undo all these steps. I've typed, I've deleted, I've done autofill. As you can see, I can undo all of them, but let's just do one step. So that is undo. Then redo is this one. So the shortcut for undo is Ctrl Z. It's a popular shortcut. Ctrl Z. So that's what you use to undo. So instead of clicking on the undo button on the Excel window, you could just quickly press Ctrl Z on your keyboard. Or if you are using a Mac, it will actually be command. If you're on the Mac, it will be Command plus Z. So so if you are using a Windows system, it's Ctrl Z. Then redo is the opposite. I would say, yeah, Ctrl Y. That's the shortcut. Redo, you move forward. So if undo takes us back, redo takes us what? forward. So I can click on redo. So you use redo to undo what you have, undone. So that's how it works. You use redo to undo what you have undone, because I used undo now to bring back what I've deleted, but probably, I don't want it again. I use redo to remove it again, to delete it again, and have the empty worksheet like I just did. So please, if you don't understand anything, you can always ask questions. The WhatsApp platform is still available. If we don't have time to ask questions, then we can always ask, but we'll have time for that. So we're almost done with what you are supposed to look at. Today is just like an introduction. Like I said, we are starting from the scratch. So that's why we are looking at all this. Simply, it might actually look so boring, but as we go on, it will become more interesting, because there are much more interesting things as we move on. So, but we just need to look at all these, simple things, so that once we are going on, we'll be able to understand what we are doing. So most, some of the things I've done today, I will explain them more in detail as we move on. So now, the last thing I want to talk about is how do we close. Okay, the second to the last thing. After this, I will talk about the last, and then we'll end the class. So how do we close a workbook? So this workbook is open. It's open here. So I want to close the workbook. How do we close the workbook? Now, most times when people want to close the workbook, they exit the workbook instead of closing the workbook. Now, there's a difference between closing a workbook and exiting a workbook. If you close the workbook, you still have the Excel window open. But if you exit, a workbook, you close the Excel window. That means you are closing the entire application. So to close a workbook, like I want to close this workbook, Excel class, named Excel class, I'll click on File and click on Close. Click on File, click on Close. Now, if you have not updated or saved your work, it will ask you, do you want to save changes? I don't want to save changes. So you have three options. Number one is save. It will update your changes. Number two is don't save. It will not update your changes. Number three is cancel. Now, if you click on cancel, it will return you back to where you are, to the workbook. So you click on File, you click on Close. So I will do don't save. Now I've closed the workbook. Now you can see that I've closed the workbook, but we still have the Excel, environment open. So having closed this workbook, I can still come and create a new workbook, or I can open another workbook and continue working on that workbook. Though, as you can see, the Excel application is still very much open. It's not closed yet. So that I've just closed that particular workbook. If I have more than, if I have two or more workbooks open, when I close one, the other one will be active. So why it is looking like this is because I only, have one workbook open. It's just one workbook that is open, just one. So, I can continue working from here home. But for me to, continue working, I have to either open a new workbook or open an existing workbook. So that's how you close a workbook. So let me open again that workbook we just closed. So this is the workbook we just closed. I've opened it again. Now, the last thing I'll talk about is how to exit a workbook. Exiting what? A workbook, which actually means exiting Excel. How do you exit Excel? Entirely, like you want to close the application. How do you do that? Now you click on, you're not going to click on File this time, because there's no file exit, no. So what you do is, if you look at the Excel window, you discover that at the top right corner, we have three buttons. Now those are actually called window button, the Excel window buttons. So we have three buttons. These are the button, just look at the top right corner. The first one, my mouse is actually at that point now. The first one is minimize. The middle one is restore down. And then the last one is what? Close. Okay, so that is the last one, which is close, is what you click on if you want to exit Excel, like you want to close the application. This is what you click. Now, like I said, it's different from closing a workbook. If somebody say close a workbook, you don't come here and click. If you click here, you are closing the application. You are not closing the workbook. You are closing Excel entirely. You get that? So there's a difference. So if you want to close a workbook, do file and do close like we have seen. But if you want to exit Excel, click on close here, this button. If you want to minimize the Excel, like minimize the window view, just maybe you want to do something else, you can click on minimize. As you can see, you minimize the Excel window. So then if you want to exit Excel, like close the Excel application, click on close here. Once you click on it, the Excel application will be closed. So like you can see, Excel has been closed. So I'm opening Excel again. So like I said, you click on close, and then it will be closed. Okay, I think I'm done. I'm done with what we have for today. So I'm going to unmute everybody. I'm going to unmute everybody and allow maybe people say one or two things before we finally end the class. Okay, so just hold on, let me unmute everybody. Okay, please try to unmute yourself. Just try to unmute yourself so that you can. So I don't know if you have questions. If you have question, you can ask. So let's just take this. This is just like an intro into some of the deep things we'll be looking at subsequently. If you have questions, you can ask, or you have comments, or you want to make a comment or say something.
Okay, for me, it's not a question, but a comment.
Okay.
I really actually appreciate you for this lesson, because sometimes you might think you know much about Excel. I have been using Excel for quite some time now, and I discovered there are little things I still do not know. Thank you very much for the eye opener. I hope to enjoy more of the classes with you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you. The class continues tomorrow. It's a 3 days class. Like I said, we are just running through some of these simple things that will help us as we go forward. We'll still go on to look at other things. Okay, does somebody else have something to say? Hello.
I don't even know what to say. Okay, comment.
Okay, if you have question, you can ask. We are actually ending the session, so okay. So we would continue tomorrow. Tomorrow, same time by 4 p.m. I just hope we'll make ourselves available. So it's just we're just taking things step by step. So today we've been able to go through. Today we've been able to go through all that we want to go through, and I appreciate you all for coming online to be part of it. So tomorrow we'll continue. Tomorrow we are going to be looking at how to enter formulas. Though I did something of like that today, but then we're going to look at it very well. We're going to look at how to use the sum function. Now we'll talk about functions tomorrow. So Excel has a whole lot of functions. So we are going to look at that. So also tomorrow we are going to look at how we can sum rows and columns automatically. Also tomorrow we are going to look at some statistical functions. Tomorrow is going to be very in-depth compared to what we have today. We are going to look at some statistical functions like the count function. We are going to look at average if function. We are going to look at average function. We are also going to look at the max and min functions and the others. So tomorrow we are going to also learn how to work with the range finder. Now we are going to see how we can make adjustments to our our calculations and our analysis using by adjusting the range finder. So tomorrow we are going to know what the range finder is, and then finally tomorrow we are going to look at how to use error checking. Now sometimes you can be doing some calculations on Excel or some analysis on Excel and you might be having errors. So how do you check for errors? So we are going to see that tomorrow. So those are some of the things we look at. Like I've said, we're going to look at how to use formulas, how to use functions, how to use the sum function, how to calculate automatically, statistical functions, range finder, and error checking. Okay, so that's it for today. So tomorrow we'll meet by 4 p.m. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and I just hope we'll have an awesome time together tomorrow like we did today. So I appreciate you all for coming online to be part of this. So tomorrow when we start, so if you have any question, anything you are not clear, that is not clear, you could ask on the WhatsApp group. I would answer your question, or anybody that that can provide an answer, we can do that. Yeah, so that will be it for today. So let's just continue. Like I said at the beginning of the class, the whole class is being recorded, so we can also I will make the video available so that we can go through the sessions again and again. So let's try as much as possible to be available tomorrow. Like tomorrow will be more in depth. So like I said, we're moving one step at a time, taking it deeper and deeper. And on the third day, we'll look at more deeper things and end the class. Okay. Thank you so much, and God bless you. So I'll be ending the class at this point.